Oh, live,
Hi,
yes, right.
everybody.
Right,
We we're live now. Um,
good, right.
do you want to start off, Bill Todd, with an introduction to yourself and your books?
Oh, right. Well, my name's Bill Todd. I'm a journalist and the author of 7 crime thrillers featuring Danny Lancaster, who is a wounded ex-paratrooper now scraping a living as an investigator in Brighton on the south coast. And he gets into various scrapes, obviously. And as I said, features in 7 titles so far, more in the pipeline, although that's taking slightly longer than I would have wished for reasons I can explain later.
Well, so what inspired you to start writing, Danny?
It was a very long and slow process. I just had the idea for a character who was slightly apart. Obviously, having been a soldier, he's seen things and done things that a lot of civilians back at home wouldn't have done. He's been injured, so it gives him a slightly different perspective on things. And it began from that and then evolved. I mean, one of the things that has slowed down the next one is I think the nature of heroes in general is changing. I've mentioned before that, I mean, the old James Bonds got away with things that the modern ones couldn't. And I think that has to be taken in. I sort of struggled a bit with that, which is why, partly due to a delay. The rest of the delay I blame on my grandchildren. Theo's 4 next week and Jack's 18 months. And it's very, very easy to get distracted.
I can imagine. So what about Danny do you think would make him not fit with a modern hero? Because I think he's quite a realistic kind of guy, you know, he's genuinely affected by what he's done. It's just
yeah, I mean it's a debatable point. I mean, I don't think it's clear cut one way or the other. It's just that I want to sort of take it gently just to make sure that, I mean, there are some things in the earlier books that I think might be more difficult for a modern.
We've got a frozen Bill. He's going to love that.
Who altered or moderated Danny too much, he wouldn't be Danny. So there has to. Are we there?
Yeah, I've got your back.
I think you've frozen again, Caroline.
Don't worry about me freezing too much, as long as you can hear me.
Ah.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm sorry, you froze for a moment.
Okay. So you have given Danny a bit of an unusual kind of impairment as well. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Well, again, it was something that always interested me, and I've known a few people who've had. I mean, he lost a leg in Afghanistan, which does, in some ways, alter the way he does things. But at the same time, I mean, a lot of people with disabilities like that do tremendous things. I mean, if you think of the Special Olympics and things like that, I mean, people can do tremendous feats of energy and endurance. So he has that, but it is a factor in the way he behaves.
Okay, I've lost Bill again, briefly. He keeps freezing.
I'm not.
You keep freezing, Bill. Do you have your laptop with you as well?
No, I haven't. It's not working at the moment. As I said, it's a bit of a lash up job this evening. Is it that or is it the signal?
I do not know. It's a signal, maybe, because you keep freezing.
Oh, right. It's showing I've got good Wi-Fi, so.
And now he's disappeared completely. So while we wait for him to come back, the Danny Lancaster series is one of my favourites, despite it being quite action based. I really enjoy it. It's a good read. He makes Danny a really relatable, likable hero. So he's not just kind of an action hero who can do everything and not suffer the consequences. He does deal with like the issues of being in the army and things like that. And it makes it really good. You need to start with. I'm going to go and have a look at what his first book is and tell everybody while we wait for him to come back. So his first book is called The Wreck of the Margarita. And while we are waiting for him, I'll read you the description. So it says, the shipwreck is on the TV news and Danny Lancaster is pretty sure anything washed ashore is fair game. When he and his friends go beachcombing, they find an Aladdin's cave among the mangled, storm-lashed cargo containers. But they uncover more than they bargained for. The discovery draws Danny into a network of gangsters and corrupt politicians. A lap dancer goes missing. Ambrose and Everard are plotting, and crime boss Big Eddie Archer wants a word. Then Danny remembers one bloody day in Afghanistan and calls in a debt from his old platoon commander to track down a secret factory. And once Danny gets angry, that's it. His training is all about speed and ferocity behind enemy lines. The fuse is lit for a bonfire night confrontation. That's when the real storm breaks and people start to die. Just seeing what Bill is doing to come back. Hopefully he'll be back very soon. Oh, here he is. Just in time to stop everyone.
Am I back?
You are.
Oh, no, you frozen.
Don't worry about that. So it says that he I've just read the description of the first book. And someone's saying it's quite action oriented.
Yes.
But I think there's a nice balance with him having relationships with sort of people where he lives in Brighton and him talking about like his favourite places and things like that as well. It's not just like non-stop action.
No. I mean, I think the area, I mean, it's obviously the city of Brighton, but also a lot of the surrounding Sussex countryside, which is beautiful, is pretty much a character in itself. I like to think so. It obviously gives me an excuse to travel around researching locations, which is fascinating. There's an awful lot of history and a lot of beautiful scenery as well.
I'm intrigued as to whether his favourite pub.
Oh, yes, the Bellerophon.
Is that a real bar?
It's an amalgamation of different elements of different places, but it's mainly based on one, but I've sort of added in favourite points from other pubs to sort of try and create the perfect pub.
I thought you might have just named a real bar in like Brighton and hoped they'd give you free drinks.
Oh no, if only. No, it's. I mean, I'm a real ale enthusiast, but Danny's a lager drinker, so we don't have much in common in that respect.
So so that one's not real at all. I finished reading the second one before our chat, which is
great. Right.
Yeah, do you want to tell people a bit about what book 2 is about?
Yes, the band. Oh, sorry, I froze there. I mean, throat-wise. Yeah, you've got members of a huge 70s rock band called Death Squad. Becomes involved to find out what it's all about. So I'm losing my light here again.
There we go. I can see you.
Ah, right. That's better.
Yeah,
yes.
I liked that with the rock band. What gave you the inspiration for that? Do you like a bit of old 80s?
Oh yes. I think one of my first gigs was Led Zeppelin at Alexandra Palace in 1973. And few, obviously, I mean, being in at that time living in London, Nebworth in Hertfordshire was quite close, and they used to host enormous concerts, which most of the big names went to over time. You know, The Who, Pink Floyd, the Stones, and that was enormous fun.
And my husband's been to Nebworth, and I never actually knew it was down south.
Yeah, it's near Stevenage, sort of central Hertfordshire, really. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Good. It says on your author description that you started your working life as a journalist.
Yes. Yes, I started out. Well, I was a messenger in Fleet Street briefly, and then got an apprenticeship on a local paper in North London, and worked through that quite a few years, various papers, and then at that stage, free papers were becoming a thing, and I got taken on by one of the opposition companies to launch a free paper, which, I mean, I know a lot of people have a fairly poor view of free papers, but ours was quite something. It was like 48 pages, you know, proper editorial, full editorial staff. And it's still going, but I'd like to think it's a shadow of its former self. And I did that for a few years. Excuse me. Did that for a few years, and then worked on a few national newspapers. And I still do a bit of freelance work. I did a lot of travel writing at one stage, which is marvelous because, you know, people pay you to go away on holiday. I mean, it's not quite that easy. It's a lot of early starts and things like that. But that was useful for background, because, as I said, Danny is mainly based in Brighton and Sussex, but other areas do feature, and I've been able to draw on my travel writing experience to illustrate those.
How else do you think that a career in journalism prepares you for sort of being an author?
Don't know how it prepares you. I mean, I suppose you have to be pretty organised. You have to, you know, assemble facts in the right sort of order. I mean, another advantage is that you meet an awful lot of different people, and obviously, as a journalist, you've got to be able to pretty much get on with anyone. You know, you meet all sorts of, you meet famous people, you meet the families of people killed in tragedies and that sort of thing. And so you have to be able to sort of mix and mingle and blend in. And I think that's probably quite useful because people have, and also insofar as you can, to get sort of try and, you know, see things from other people's point of view.
When we have finished this interview, I'm going to send you some of your frozen faces.
That'll be interesting.
Donna has said she used to live near Nebworth. Apparently she's seen Robbie Williams there.
All right. Yeah, I think they're still going, are they, the gigs?
Do not know. And my husband went to see Oasis there when they did their big Nebworth gig with his sister. I have no knowledge apart from that. Sam has said that her youngest child has come in and said that you look like a supply teacher they had today, Bill.
Oh, really? No, not me. I've been trying to get my phone working all day, so it definitely wasn't me. But obviously, I have a doppelganger out there.
I have a very good things that happen to supply teachers story, but it will be from an off camera.
Oh, right. Okay.
And Donna thinks you sound like Tony Forder.
Oh, right. Oh, well.
I don't know what we think of that comparison, but
well, I'm happy, you know. So I'll be interested to see what these frozen faces look like. I hope I'm making some sense in between.
You're rivaling me and Sam for the awful thumbnails that the YouTube always picks for me and Sam, because it seems to always pick, and it never picks them right from the beginning of the interview either. It picks them from all over the place and picks the worst ones. Like, it's always the worst face that you're pulling
Oh, well.
that it puts at the top of the interview.
Well, if I draw a short straw, I draw a short straw.
No, it's fine. It's good to have you. Yeah.
Nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
So, I wondered when I started reading the Danny series if you'd had any experience with being in the military. Because he reads like quite believably as, you know, someone who's got a military background.
No, not really. I mean, some of my family have, but not. I mean, my grandparents were in the First World War. My father served in the Second World War. I mean, he was the eldest of three brothers. He was in the army in Europe. The middle brother was in the Navy in the Mediterranean, and the youngest one was in the RAF in North Africa. He was killed near El Alamein. So obviously, it was a certain topic of conversation when I was a kid, and my father was sort of interested in the history of it, and I've got his wartime photographs in his diary and stuff like that. And there were one or two other members of the family. And doing the journalism thing, I mean, I used to spend a lot of time with the local territorial army, and went on exercises. So I've sort of seen it fairly close up, and I've been tear gassed 3 times, largely by accident, but
Largely by, I feel like there's a story there with a largely by accident.
It was well, one of them was a territorial army exercise on an American air base in East Anglia, and the TA had been told that they wouldn't need their gas masks, so they hadn't taken them. But in the middle of the night, we were sort of toing and froing and shooting and stuff. The Americans decided to use gas, so we're all sort of coughing and eyes streaming, and generally, it's an experience. The best one was when I was in Athens on a travel trip, and there was an education demo in the big square outside the Parliament building, and I was supposed to be meeting someone in the big hotel. I think the George V, fantastic ornate hotel, and the police there gassed the protesters, and it started to drift through the front of the hotel. So the hotel staff are obviously quite used to this. So they put the shutters down, handed out masks, and then this liveried waiter with a silver tray walked around distributing segments of lemon, which you put under your nose, and it counters the effects of the gas. So that was quite interesting. It was quite an interesting experience.
My mum said that she's been gassed accidentally a couple of times washing my dad's clothes when he's come back from exercise. Does the gas crystals stay on them or something?
Try a slice of lemon.
Sam has said that you always look lovely.
Oh, that's very kind.
And she's said that you've travelled a lot.
Oh, am I gone again?
No, you're still there. You're frozen. She says you've travelled a lot. Do you have a favourite place that you've been to?
Hello?
You're there?
Ah, yes. Sorry, you froze for a second.
So Sam has asked, she says you've travelled a lot. Do you have a favourite place that you've been to?
I've never really been anywhere I didn't like. With the possible exception of Florida. For a theme park. 2 places I'm particularly fond of. One is Iceland, which is like being on another planet, fantastic landscapes and wildlife. Although I did go on a whale watching trip, and I was particularly ill prepared for it, as I only had Cheetos and a jacket on, and we bobbed around out to sea at the peak of the whale migration.
We got a frozen Bill again.
A few seabirds, and that was it. And when I got off the boat, I was absolutely frozen, so I had to warm up quite dramatically. The other place, probably top of my list, and it does feature in one of the Dannies, is Namibia in Southwest Africa. The most amazing, one of the oldest deserts in the world, and the desert runs down to the sea, and it's red. I mean, there are trees there that, because the atmosphere is so dry, if you walk around, you have to be really careful to drink lots of fluids because it's so dry, you don't perspire, you don't sweat, so you don't realise how much fluid you're losing, and you can dehydrate very rapidly without noticing it. I mean, there are some trees there that are 800 years old, and they're just dry. They're like paper, but they're still standing. It's a fascinating place. An awful lot of wildlife as well. You get desert elephants and Benguela dolphin, all sorts of things. It really is a fascinating place. I'd love to go back there. I really enjoyed that. And that, as I said, that features in another one of the Dannies.
That sounds fascinating. I've been to Iceland, and you're right. It's like being on a different planet.
It is, absolutely. That's what I said at the time. I think I said that in my travel article. So. It really is. It's beautiful, nice. I mean, hellish expensive, but lovely people, fantastic scenery, and not that far away. It's a couple of hours flying time.
Yeah, it's a couple of hours to fly, but then you feel like you're on another planet.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is. It's so different from anywhere. I mean, a lot of cities, especially cities these days, and you get the same shiny tower blocks and the same sort of bars and restaurants and things, and it can be a bit samey. But somewhere like Iceland and as I said, Namibia are absolutely different to anywhere else.
So, before we move on to Sam's next question, we were talking about like military experience and things. I know you've written a book that's sort of based on actual true stories about your family, haven't you?
Oh well, 3 of them. I mean, they're only little sort of more pamphlets than books, really. But I mean, I had my father. My father was, but he did keep a diary during the war. Although that was against.
Have I lost Bill again?
And worked their way through Belgium, Holland, and into Germany. He was demobbed in Hamburg, and it's quite sparse. It's only a few hundred words from start to finish, but it's very sort of simple, quite brusque observations and comments, and it lists people comrades who were killed. And I'd also got quite a few photographs from that period. So I just thought, rather than I'm the family tree guy, so I've worked on that on and off for years. But I thought, rather than having this sort of material languishing in a filing box, it might as well turn it into a book. So I did that. And then my grandmother's cousin was a pilot in the 50s. And she was, at one stage, on track to become the first woman pilot in the Royal Air Force. But unfortunately, she was killed in a training accident. And I'd got a lot of information about her and quite a few pictures. So I did a small book on that pigtail pilot. And as a result of that, another branch of the family got in touch. And they had far more information, including flight logs and things like that. And her things to do is to update the book, which is called Pigtail Pilot. The third one is my maternal grandfather's brother, who also kept a diary. And he served in Egypt and Palestine during 1917. He was killed just outside Jerusalem. He's buried in the Mount of Olives Commonwealth War Graves Cemetery. And he kept a diary, which is quite interesting. He was in Jerusalem not long before he was killed. So, and inside the diary is a pressed crocus, which I still have. And the book is called A Crocus from Jerusalem, because he'd sent it back to...
That's one I think I've read.
Which required quite a bit of research, obviously, as well. So that probably added to the military, the sum of military knowledge.
I think the Crocus from Jerusalem one is the one I've read.
Is it? Oh, right.
Sam asked you, what's been the most difficult aspects when writing about Danny? A wounded veteran must bring a lot of issues for you to contend with.
The most difficult aspect... difficult one. I mean, I think it's trying to make sure. I mean, obviously, you know, he and I are very different, and you're sort of inside his head, I suppose, and trying to think of all the aspects. You know, his attitude, the way he approaches the things he's doing, and also the physical problems he does have. I mean, it's not an exact science, obviously, but you just have to keep sort of battering away at it and hope you get it right. Oh, bless you. Hay fever?
Yeah, and I haven't taken my hay fever tablets today.
There we are.
It might happen again. I do apologise if it does.
Go for it. Go for it. When you got to sneeze, you got to sneeze.
How do you go about planning your books? Are you a meticulous planner?
I'd like to think so, but others might disagree. I mean, it tends to be just an idea, and you know what might happen if this happened, or you know, if you have this scene, how is that going to pan out? And it's just sort of a few notes generally, and then if it starts to work, you tend to sort of drop bits in between, and then once you've got two different elements of it, you start to think how they're going to join up. So it's little bits and bobs really until it starts to take serious shape, and then you're doing lists, scene lists, and making sure everything sort of tracks in the right sort of way, and then you've got to take into account sort of pace elements, so it's not all sort of punch ups and gunfights. You've got to have intervals in between, so it's a sort of slow, quite a bitty process really, I think. Not by any means an exact science, but
I think the reason I enjoy the Danny books, because I'm not normally a big action kind of type reader, is that there is those pieces in between. There is time for him to develop relationships with people and talk to his friends, and do you know what I mean? It's not all action, and it's not I've lost Bill again. While we wait for him to come back, why doesn't everyone in the who's watching tell us where the favourite places they've been? Let's ask Sam's thing to everybody else. And when Bill comes back, we might ask him about Sam's Wordle question as well. See if he plays it.
No. So that worked?
It has. There you go. You're back.
Right. I'm back, am I?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I promised everyone while you were gone that I was going to ask you Sam's Wordle question.
Oh, no.
So
you frozen again?
I've got a frozen Bill again.
Yeah.
So, Bill, do you play Wordle?
Oh, me?
Mm-hmm.
Nah, I'm terrible at any sort of games like that. I don't know why.
You think you'd be really good at guessing words?
No, dreadful. I don't mind quizzes, but puzzles, it's a mental block with me. And I'm not very good with numbers either. Words, I always like words, but numbers just, I don't know, I sort of freeze up with them. I was terrible when I was a kid. I've managed to sort of master the basics, but there's just something about numbers I find quite sinister, especially if the words inland revenue are attached to it. It just, just freeze up completely. I mean, no, it's not that I'm doing anything dishonest. I just have, it's just a thing. Just like people are afraid of spiders, and numbers do it to me. I don't know. There's probably a name for it.
That's a quote of the interview, isn't it? I find numbers quite sinister. I asked people where their favourite place to travel to
right.
as well while you were gone. Donna said she loves Florida, Egypt, and Amsterdam.
Amsterdam's beautiful, yeah.
And Sam said she tried to visit Bardsey Island. All she saw was mist. My favourite places are Iceland, which we've talked about with Bill, and probably Finland as well, because they're really unusual places and lovely to visit.
I mean, the countryside in Finland, an awful lot of trees and a lot of lakes. I went there when I was, quite young and had friends there, and it's beautiful.
It really is. So you've talked about the slight delay in writing the next book. Have you got a sort of number in the Danny series in mind? Got how many books you're going to write?
I don't know. It was going to be 4, and then it sort of kept on going. I mean, there has been a bit of a gap since the last one, but
and he's gone again. Donna, I think dyscalculia is, you're right, it is like dyslexia but with numbers, but I think that's more like you actually can't add up than rather a fear of it. I'm not sure though, I'm not very up on things like that. Maths is very not my strong point. While we're waiting, we're going to announce a competition tonight to win some tickets to go to Crime at the Old Courts at Wigan. So if anyone is interested in that, keep your eyes peeled, because me or Sam or someone else will be posting that very soon.
Back. I'm not quite sure why this keeps happening. Someone's trying to cut me off.
You're back.
Yeah.
Sam asked me if I'm looking forward to Saturday when I'm going to go and interview people. I kind of am, but I'm also a bit scared because I don't really like talking to large groups of people, says the teacher.
No, I'm not good with large groups of people. I don't know.
Large groups of adults are even worse. Like, I'm okay with kids.
Yeah.
But adults.
Well, you can't make adults stand in the corner, can you? Or anything like that, sort of. We can't give them lines. So I don't suppose teachers do that these days, do they? But
not really.
Yeah, harder to control with the adults.
They are a little bit. It's quite tricky.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine. I mean, you've been doing this sort of thing for quite a while now, haven't you? And made a massive success of it. So it's quite a slick operation, this now. So
yeah, thank you. Aggie has said that she's going to act like a kid for me. That's
right. very considerate.
Yeah, I'll be fine now. Sam has said that she's always said you're very wise.
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 Wise. W-I-S-E. Wise.
I was just checking, yeah. How so?
I don't know. I think she's just being complimented. I think Sam's a big fan of you by the sound of the comments and the.
Wise. That's the new one. I suspect my family would disagree with you there. Wise. It's probably the beard, actually. The sort of, bit of truncated Gandalf action going on here. So.
Have you been out to do any kind of local author chats now that you can get out and about?
Sorry, say again?
Have you been out to do any kind of local author events now you can get out and about?
No, not really. I mean, obviously it's lovely to talk to people like now, but perhaps I don't get invited very often. I mean, I think obviously, I mean, I'd love to see Danny as a TV series or something like that. But I've noticed some people, who've reviewed it, I mean, not a vast number, but certainly a significant handful of number of people have said, why have I never found this before? So, I mean, perhaps that's a shortcoming of my marketing, but I mean, obviously, Danny has quite a faithful group of fans and enthusiasts, but it could always get bigger. But I said I'm quite happy to chat, but I don't really tend to get the invitations.
He would be a really good show.
Really?
Yeah. I think the Danny Lancaster series. It'd be a good TV series or a really good movie.
No, I've thought that, but I've yet to find a TV company or a film company who agree with me. We live in hope. We live in hope.
Sam says she has going for a pint with you on her list, but you're so far away.
Yes, must do that.
You need to come north.
Yeah, I know.
Flights are cheaper. We will buy you.
That's true. Yes. Yeah, I mean, I haven't.
Real ale.
I haven't been. I've got. I mean, my father's family were from Newcastle on Tyne. They moved south in the 20s, I think, 1920s. And I've been up there a couple of times. I've still got family and some in Cumbria as well. So I've got some family in the far north who would probably regard you as Southerners. So
one of my favourite questions recently is, what have you read this year that you've really enjoyed?
I've gone blank. I mean, I do quite a few book reviews these days, and I'm just trying to think what the most recent was. As I said,
Are your book reviews published?
Yeah. I mean, the one I've just nearly finished is the new cozy crime from the Reverend Richard Coles.
Oh, is it any good?
It is, yeah, but there's a lot. It's very, very gentle, cozy crime. I mean, there is murder involved, but without giving too much away. But I mean, it's as much about life in a small country parish with the people and the history of it as it is about the crime. It's quite entertaining. I think it's the first of a series as well. I mean, I'm not a betting man, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was made into a TV series. But not that I'm bitter, you understand.
Would you be tempted to write anything sort of like crime, but sort of outside of the Danny series?
Well, that was another reason for the delay since the last one, is that I'd got an idea for the next Danny, and I'd also got an idea for a standalone. And the two of them were sort of, it's like trying to ride two horses at once. They're both galloping neck and neck, and I kept veering between one and the other. I mean, they're both in reasonably advanced state of development, but obviously you at some point you've got to decide which one you're riding and then ride it for all it's worth. So yeah, I mean, there are a couple of things in hand, but I haven't actually progressed them to a finished manuscript yet.
Would you be tempted to write a kind of gentler paced crime fiction?
Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, if I came up with an idea that I thought might work. I mean, I think crime fighting vicars has probably been done, but no, I mean, I'm happy to entertain any idea.
Donna said she's heard that Reverend Richard Coles had a lot of build up and lots of big words. I'm going to see him, Donna, Reverend Richard Coles, in July in Bradford Literature Festival.
Right.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, no, it's a good book. I mean, it is. It is the coziest of cozy crime. I mean, it takes quite a long. As I said, it takes quite a long time to get into it. I don't give anything away, but no, it's good. I mean, it's one of those ones that may well evolve. I mean, as well, I just. Fun.
So.
Oh, I thought I'd frozen again.
You did.
Ah.
But we got you back. It's all good, isn't it?
Yeah.
So how do you find doing the marketing and stuff for your books?
Hate it, really. It's hard work, and I mean, obviously, if it succeeds, then you can bring the books to a wider audience. But it's not an activity that I'm naturally. But yeah, whoops. Yes, so I mean, as I said, it has to be done, but I've tried different ways of doing it. But I wouldn't say it was my favourite thing at all. I think probably, I mean, the actual writing, and with the sort of research and plotting a close second. Oh, excuse me. Oh.
What made you choose to go down the self-published route?
Down the
self-publishing route.
Well, I'd spoken to several agents, and they were sort of interested to varying degrees. But it just kept on dragging on, and I mean, it wasn't exactly a fit of pique, but it reached a stage where I thought, well, I could keep on having, pleasant conversations with people forever. Sort of go ahead and do something. So I did, which hasn't worked out too badly. But as I said, the one advantage of the indie route is that you are a one-man band. The major disadvantage is that you're a one-man band. You've got to do everything. As I said, the writing, the preparation, the promotion, emptying the bins, all that sort of thing. But no, it's good fun, and by and large, it works.
We missed a question from Donna. She wondered which character of yours you'd like to take out for a meal. I may have to ask him that again when he comes back. Or have we lost him? No.
Am I there?
You're there.
Oh, right. Yes. No, I mean, most of them probably. I mean, I wouldn't mind having a few drinks with Danny. Yeah, as I said, I mean, they're not all likable characters, but I mean, I like them, and it's difficult to pick one. Really, it's like trying to select one of your children above the others. But you just have one huge party at the Bellerophon, invite everyone.
I like the Polish guy, like his.
Oh yeah, I mean he was based on a guy. It was a guy I knew quite a while ago. And I mean, that's what makes it interesting, is sort of trying to broaden it out. You wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to just do a fairly two-dimensional guy who just goes around, punching people and shooting people all the time. It is nice to widen it out and to have a social circle. And obviously, a lot in Danny's case, so the regulars at the. And you can get quite a mix of people as well. So you can some of them suit some stories, prominence in some storylines better than others do.
Yeah, I think he was quite strongly featured in Death Squad, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, through the series, different characters tend to have different prominence depending on what the story is and how they might become involved in it.
So Well, you mentioned liking doing the research. What's the kind of most interesting research rabbit hole you've been down?
Hello? Think you froze again.
The most interesting research rabbit hole you've been down?
Oh. Oh dear. I don't know. There's so many. I mean, sort of the sort of military type of thing. I, tried to make the sort of firearms and things like that as realistic as possible, which has involved a few shooting outings in the past. Trying to think. I'd spent some time with the lifeboat people for one of the books. I mean, it's surprising when you approach complete strangers with a particular expertise, how very generous most of them are with their time to try and make sure you do get it right. I mean, I've found that numerous times with all.
Have we lost him again? Aggie, there's a Polish chap in Death Squad who's one of Danny's main mates. You're back, Bill.
Yeah. It's quite hard work, isn't it? I keep tuning out. I don't know why. The signal seems okay.
We were talking about your research, weren't we?
Yes.
You said you've been on some shooting trips. Is that something you've enjoyed doing, or?
Yes, I mean, it's quite interesting to do and to get the technical aspects right. And, I mean, I've had to sort of consult aviation folk for something that involves flying. I mean, there's one that it features lifeboats. I mean, one of the Danny's, Rock Hard, is partly set in Gibraltar, which is somewhere else I really like. Been there a few times. It involves sort of international shipping and stuff like that. So, and the port people, the sort of port authorities in Gib were really helpful, and also the Royal Gibraltar Police. And in addition to researching for its own sake, it's interesting to sort of meet these people and get an insight into their lives and find out how it all works. So being a naturally nosy person, it satisfies that on top of the research aspect.
Speaking from personal experience, if you find someone who works in aviation, you can't shut them up about it.
Yes, I think you're probably right there. Pilot thoroughbreed apart.
Maybe. Sam says that we're incredibly grateful to you for donating your brilliant story, Lucky Break, to our criminal shorts anthology.
Oh, that's okay.
For charity. We are. It was an excellent story.
Oh, thank you.
The whole anthology is brilliant, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, yes. There's really an awful lot of good stuff in there.
Found a lot of new authors from it that I enjoy. She says, do you write many short stories?
Nope, here we go again.
Yeah, we can still hear you.
Hello? Hello?
You're still there?
Oh, yeah, yes. You're back.
Do you write many short stories?
No, not really. I'd never really done it until the UK CBC regular stories began. I mean, I haven't done all of them, but I've done, I don't know, 3 or 4, maybe 5. I just thought it was sort of, it came up on the group, and I thought, well, I don't really do short stories. I think we're up for another one soon, aren't we?
We are. I think we aim for 3 or 4 a year, don't we? So we have a scary one at Halloween, a Santa's one at Christmas, a summer one. Have I missed another one out? I think it's one of the things, and it's down to our admin Will, who's awesome, who arranges it all and puts all the effort in. But I think it's one of the things that makes our group quite unique, having the regular short story events.
Yeah, I mean, the group is amazing, really. I mean, it's well over 20,000 people now, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
readers and writers. And I mean, it's quite a force to be reckoned with, I would think. And you get the ordinary day-to-day conversations and chats and exchanges of views and reviews and petitions. It's quite a power in itself.
Apparently, summer shorts will be soon.
All right, I better prepare myself. I just hope inspiration strikes.
And I think they're a good thing. I don't know about anyone else who's watching, but I find
oh dear,
I like short stories often as a way of discovering a new author. So if I read a short story and enjoy it, I might then go and buy the author's book and give it a go.
Hello?
You're still there.
All right. Yeah, you froze for a second there.
Give us your memorable moments as an author, Bill.
Memorable moments. Ooh. I don't know, really. I mean, obviously, there's it's probably when the first ones turn up and you open the box, and they're all shiny and new and have that wonderful smell of printing about them. And obviously, one of my other high points is this interview.
You don't have to say that.
Oh well, no. I mean, it's as I said, I spent an awful lot of time, tapping away in a lonely garret. So it makes a change to sort of get out and be able to have a chat with someone.
Or stay in and have a chat with someone.
Hmm. Oh, so yes. I'm trying to think. I keep tuning out so much. Every time you keep asking these questions, I just go blank. I don't know why.
What are you drinking?
First night nerves. Apple juice.
Okay, fair enough.
Oh, yeah. Yes, moments. Yeah, nothing sort of springs to mind beyond that. As I said, it's quite a solitary existence, tippy tapping away in a corner. Although that said, I did used to do it all. I used to use my office, and in the early days.
We have lost Bill again. We'll give him a chance to come back and just give us a last kind of reminder about his books and things before we finish. I would imagine that you will probably be able to buy signed copies of those for self-published, and they're very well worth buying. Start with number 1 though.
Yeah. I thought we were going to make it then, and then it went. I don't know why it's doing it, but it's very annoying.
You are back. Finish us off.
Right.
With a reminder of you and your books. And if you've got books to show off, tell people about it and tell them if they can buy signed copies of you.
Oh, right. Yes, I haven't actually got them here because I'm trapped in the kitchen. Yeah, it was a 7 crime thrillers featuring ex-soldier turned detective Danny Lancaster. Of the 7, 1 is they're all full-length novels apart from one which is a novella plus 6 short stories. They're all available as ebooks. Well, the first one's free, Wreck of the Margarita. All of the rest are 99p or 99 cents US through Amazon and the usual outlets. And they're also available there in paperback as well. And as soon as I have an 8th, you'll be the first to know.
Excellent. Make sure you post a link in to your books at the end with my permission.
All right.
For anyone who's been watching, I've just been encouraging them. When you disappeared this time, I was encouraging everyone to go and get the books.
Oh, right. Oh, that's pretty kind of you. Yes, I'm not quite sure why I keep disappearing. It's
Sam has said, thank you both. We're apparently 2 of her favourite people together.
Good Lord. Oh, well, very kind of her.
And she said it's a great hour and she gets you next time.
All right. Oh, thank you.
We do try to swap authors when we can.
Right. Oh,
So
oh, you're gone again.
No, I'm still there. Next time you come back, you get Sam. We've lost him again. Do you know what? We are going to say thank you to Bill because he's struggled so much. Thank you, Bill, for joining us.
Thank you for putting up with me. I keep tuning out and.
But you were marvellous. You are welcome back anytime.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you.
And thanks for joining us tonight.
Well, thank you for having me. And thank you for everyone who's joined in as well.
Donna's finished the interview off lovely by saying she's going to check out your books.
Oh, wonderful. That's great. So well, thanks so much.
Good note to finish on.
Yes. Right.